Is up, everyone? They completely changed my layout here. We upgraded to Studio 2.0. So it's going to be a little clunky, clunky live. I couldn't get to work on my phone. Apologize for running 10 minutes late. I was going to do this at one of our listings to kind of show you what I look for when we do showings, but we're having some quirks here with with the new 2.0, so it is what it is. But we will be going over everything here now, just to make sure. Is there any way I can test and see if my sound is working? Because we've had days where the sound was not working, and that killed me. Absolutely killed me. Let's double check the sound real quick while everyone joins, everyone hangs out. Dun, 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 dun. Sound might go a little weird for a sec. Wonderful. So it is working. Sound might go a little weird for a sec. There's a big delay. I didn't realize how long that delay was. So, welcome everyone. Today we're talking about what to look for when you're doing showings. Now, showings are really in the eye of the beholder, okay? So, the big thing to keep in mind at most showings, especially if you're a first time buyer, but investors too, as long as you have an inspection contingency, let's point this down a little bit. There we go. As long as you have your inspection contingency, you don't need your showings to go perfect. You're going to have a long time where you look through the property at your inspection, okay? So you don't need to catch everything at your showings. Let's see. So you don't need to have everything perfect at your showings, okay? You need to more or less get a good idea for the big things. And the idea here is to help you catch those big things at the showings. And we're going to try to talk you through a couple things that people think are big things, but aren't as big as you think. So you show up at the house, you're ready for the showing. Let's see. Let me see if I can get some good pictures here, right? We're going to look at some houses on Zillow. We're going to see if we can find some 3D tours here. I was supposed to have a 3D tour live ready for today, but unfortunately we had some delays. So now we're going to have to find a listing really quick. But by the way, guys, the whole point of the live is to chat with everyone. It's to not be as concise. It's to be a little bit more real than we normally are and on our videos, because on the videos we're very scripted. We're trying to be very tight, very quick, make the algorithm happy, right? When we are doing live, we can hang out a lot more, a little more off the cuff, a little more relaxed, right? So if you have real estate questions, comments, concerns, this is the place to be. Is there a way to sort on Zillow by must have 3D tour? There we go. Apply. So we're going to do a 3D tour of this wonderful home with Aviara. I've never seen this home before. Never once. Yeah. Is that their whole 3D tour? Is there more? Well, I was going to do a 3D tour. What is that? How does that work? Okay. This is going to be clunky, like I said. I don't want to show that. I want to show My screen. How do I show my screen? Again, they changed the everything. They changed the everything. So let's see. Is this one? Does this one actually let us walk through? No, they just have a 3D tour of 3 rooms. Okay, hold on. We need an actual house with an actual 3D tour. That one's not going to work. Hold on. It said 3D tour, but the 3D tour is actually only like 2 rooms. There's one that has a full 3D tour. This baby do it. Explore 3D tour. Does it have more than 3 rooms? This one's much better. Okay. So they don't have any 3D of the front of the home. Let's see here. Share screen. Share. So let's step back for a sec and welcome to 370 Cherry Hills. Now, when you walk up to any home, when you get to this part, you want to take a minute. You want to kind of stop, slow down. The biggest thing that people do when they walk into a home is they're like, boom, boom, boom. They're trying to hammer out all of the important things right away. Don't do that. Slow down. Take 15, 20 minutes at a showing. That's okay. If you really are in a rush, you can do that. Nothing bad happens if you rush, but why? Okay. So slow down. Take a second to look for signs. First of all, when you get to the front of the house, enjoy it for a second. What's it sound like? What's it feel like? What's the vibe? Are the neighbors' dogs going crazy? Is the street noise going wild? What was it like getting through the gates? Does it look like it's maintained? Does it look like it's been cared for? One of the big things we're going to be looking at as we go through a showing is we want to make sure that we're keeping an eye out for anything that looks like it's not cared for, okay? Because a lot of people will fix up properties and they'll fix, you can tell how well a property is maintained by the little things, okay? So we're going to look for the little things. Now at the front, it looks decent enough. I don't know if the 3D is going to take us into the backyard or not. But the front, as we look at it, don't think I can make it any bigger for this part. Looks pretty well maintained. We can't tell the noise. We can't tell that stuff. But that stuff is very, very, very important, okay? Now, let's take a look at this 3D tour. Is it going to let me actually full screen it? No. Is there a way to get the 3D to go full screen? There's not. Okay, well, is what it is. So you look at the front of the house, you love it. Now, as people go through the homes, again, little touches that are big things. We want to be looking at stuff we touch. How are the doorknobs? How are, all the dings in the doors? Doors are very big indicators for how well maintained a home is, because people that really care maintain the doors. People that don't really care tend to ding the crap out of the doors. We got some weird stuff going here. What the heck is that? It's just the camera doing weird stuff, looks like. So as we come into a home, you're going to want to be very mindful, again, of floor plan. That's going to be huge. And anything that indicates condition. So, smells, anything that's dinged up, anything that looks funny. Most people will clean up their listings before they go on the market. Now, clean up is relative, right? To them, it needs to look good enough to sell. For you, it needs to look good enough to live in. So you're looking for indicators of how well they actually took care of this place before they threw on some new paint, before they fixed up the carpet, before they did all that kind of stuff. Okay, got the hiccups. Okay, so as we walk in here, it looks pretty cool. Now we also want to be mindful of the floor plan. How does it feel? What's the part of the world look and feel like? So as we kind of go through this, it feels a little claustrophobic to me going into this area, but again, it's in the eye of the beholder. I'm going to walk through and kind of get a sense of where everything's at, what all's going on. We're looking for anything weird. Are there any cracks? Are there any weird smells? Are there any big red flags as we walk through the home? We do have this one bathroom on the first floor, which is full. That is awesome. Everything looks like it's in good shape. Everything looks pretty well cared for. So this is a pretty solid looking home. Everything's well painted. We don't see any weird signs of anything anywhere yet. The big money rooms in a house are going to be the stuff with plumbing. Okay. So as we get here into the kitchen, are we seeing anything super, super weird? Is the backsplash done really weird? Are there cracks? Is it crooked? We kind of see some stuff going on, but I think it's just reflections from the camera. I don't think that it's actually anything bad. But you want to kind of check the work. Is there big gaps in between everything when they put it together? Is stuff clean? Is stuff maintained? Be mindful of the fridges. Whenever you do a showing, if you're going to buy a home with nice appliances like that, take pictures of the appliances just because. Sometimes these sellers will change their minds on if they want to include appliances. And if you wrote your offer saying that, hey, I want the, it's probably a Viking fridge, looks like, saying, hey, I want is it Viking? KitchenAid, never mind. Saying I want the really expensive KitchenAid fridge, then you want to make sure that you have a picture of it. So if they do swap it out and they're shiesty, that you got that for sure, right? As you're going through, you're looking also for like cracks. That's something that's very, very common out here is foundation issues and just general houses moving. Now, to a degree, there's nothing you can do about that. Houses are going to move, okay? But that being said, they need to move a reasonable amount. A hairline crack, no big deal. If the crack has a gap in it, might be a big deal. I'm going to kind of enjoy the layout. I kind of like this. You've got your nice little living room here. You got a little dining room space, which is very cool. I wish that more 3D tours went outside. Does this one go outside? It doesn't go outside. More 3D tours really need to go outside. It makes a big, big difference for people enjoying the property. If you got your pool, you want to try to check out all the functional stuff if you can. It's not a deal breaker if you cannot. But, if the pool is running and if the HVAC is working and if the electricity is working, that's great. Also inside of all of the rooms with water, we're talking bathrooms and kitchens. If you can, take a moment, look under the sink. Make sure that you turn on all of the sinks and all the showers. Not forever. You don't need to run it forever. But make sure the water pressure is there. Every now and then, especially on properties that are on well water, which you might see, it depends. We see a little bit of it in like Calabasas or in like Malibu or in areas a little more rural. You might be surprised to find out that the water pressure is no good, right? So try running all the water, take a look under the sink, see if anything's leaking, see if there's any water damage around anything that's got water, right? Is there any weird, funky stuff going on underneath the dishwasher, underneath the fridge, underneath the sink? And a lot of times what you'll see is people will paint over issues that are water related. And what happens is the actual wood or whatever they have under there gets squishy. So, take a second and maybe poke down there, see if it's squishy. Again, we've got more sinks. More sinks just means more leaks, right? More things to worry about. Fireplace is awesome. We've got all our bedrooms over here. Consider, what that means for your family. Sometimes it's cool to have the primary suite really far away from the kids. Sometimes it's nice to have the whole living area away from everyone being quiet and sleeping, right? Just go in here. That's cool. Nice bathroom. Nice backsplash. Everything's done up beautifully. So, this listing looks pretty stinking solid. It might not actually be a good example of what to look for because it's just a good example, right? Another thing that's super common is toilets tend to not be attached correctly. So, again, you're just checking anything that's got water. Take a second and just see if you see water. So let's step back for a sec because this listing is beautiful and not a good example of what to worry about, right? Let's look at this condo. Not to say it looks bad. I have no idea if it's good or bad. But let's see if this can be a little more of an example of things that we can try to catch at a showing, okay? So, again, take a look at the outside. Let's look at the outside first. So outside, it's going to be a condo, so it's split. Is this actually? Hold on a second. 607 White Oak. Do I know this one? Give me one sec. Is this the one I think it is? I think I was talking with these folks. I'm not sure. I think I know this listing. Okay. So when you take a look, especially if it's a condo or a townhouse, take a look at the roof. It's always a nightmare if there's something wrong with the roof. If there's any broken tiles, stuff like that, it's not usually the responsibility of just you. It's of the HOA or of you and your neighbor. So make sure that the outside looks like it's in good shape, because that's not done by you, right? Now in this unit, the outside looks super clean. I don't see any broken tiles. I don't see anything messed up. So I don't think there's any red flags on the outside. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So we've got 2 floors. This is kind of this is our backyard. I think that's our backyard. I think that they orient these kind of weird sometimes. So we'll start here as we first come in, right? So again, we're looking for smells. We're looking for weird stuff. We're looking for cracks. I see nothing super crazy. We got our first bedroom. Ceiling fan looks good. The walls all look painted. Looks like we got some dirty carpet. So, factor in some new carpet into your pricing, into your deal. Looks like this is done up nice. You'll notice I don't really care too much about bedrooms or about hallways. I mean, sometimes you'll catch a crack or something weird, but pretty much all of the action is going to be in the bathrooms and the kitchens. Those are your real giveaway rooms for stuff, right? So, this looks all updated, looks all done. We've got really nice countertops. We've got really nice flooring. All the appliances look nice. We got the Frigidaire. Again, take pictures of all the appliances. Super, super, super important. The bathroom's done pretty well. Again, the carpet's old. Be mindful of the smells. It's not a big deal, but like I'm working on a listing right now that has a lot of dog smell. It's not a big deal, but if you're allergic, it can really be a pain in the butt to deal with. It's like this room. Those floors look really old, but not a deal breaker. Fan's fine. Windows look fine. We're not seeing any cracks, anything crazy, right? This one I don't think counts as a bedroom. So there's no closet. You need to cap that off. If they cap that off, then it will be an actual bedroom. But until it has a closet, it doesn't count as a bedroom. You also look for weird things. Like, is that the electrical panel? A little crawl? I mean, what is that? Goes to the bathroom. It's like the back of the tub. I would hope it's not. Whoa, where'd we go? What happened? Can I go back? Oh, I ruined it. Hold on. I gotta figure out where we just were. So, like little things like that. Again, it's not going to be like a deal breaker, but you do want to kind of consider what the heck is the little hidey hole in that room. I'm so curious now. It looks like a little door. There's no way they'd put an electrical panel on the other side of the shower, would they? I don't know. But things like that you want to look out for. We're not seeing any cracks or any crazy stuff. We are looking at the ceiling. We've got it's like some textured ceiling. Some people hate it. They see it, they think it has to go immediately. I don't mind it personally. It's almost never asbestos out here. Not to say it is never asbestos. Sometimes it is asbestos, but almost never. So you don't usually have to worry about the roofs out or the ceilings out here too much. They're not too expensive, but people just get so passionate. And again, turn on all your showers, turn on all your sinks, make sure the water pressure works. Looking for anything else funny, but everything looks good. Hard to tell at the base of the toilet. Maybe if we get this guy. Base of the toilet looks good. So overall, these listings look like they're in really good shape. If you're doing 3D, it's a lot of pictures. We should always try to put one in the middle of the room. Again, the carpet looks kind of gross. It's going to need to be replaced, but that's not a deal breaker. Carpet's expensive, but people are very particular about their carpet. So, that's going to be something that most people will replace almost first thing when they move in. Something else that's minor is take a look at the windows. These look like they're single pane windows. It's so expensive to turn them into dual pane. Grand scheme of things, it's not too bad, but they're like thousands of dollars per window to replace windows. And a lot of the time when you replace windows, when you get all the sheetrock and all the stuff out, you find termites and other stuff. So even though it seems like a pretty easy thing to fix, it's really not. And if you don't fix it, you're going to spend a ton of money on your electrical bill. So do pay attention to the windows. It's something that a lot of people take for granted, but it can really rack up your monthly bills. Railings look all okay. So overall, that's what I would look at on this one. You've got all kinds of can lights. Make sure all the lights work. Make sure all the switches work. There's a lot of houses where the switches don't work out here. I don't know why, but if your switches don't work, they usually have to rewire stuff, and it's a pain in the butt. So those would be the big things to look at while you're showing. You want to be looking at, is it a good part of the world? Is the vibe good? Is the energy good? How did I get outside before? I don't even know how I did that. I was doing like 3D from like the outside. Okay. It's the backyard. Backyard's another really good place to look. Looking at the stucco, do we see any huge cracks? In the sidewalk, do we see any huge cracks? Another really good room to kind of check the foundation on, if you can get into it, is the garage. You're not always going to have access to the garage, but if there are foundation issues, you can usually see the first signs of it in the garage. That doesn't necessarily mean that if there is cracks in the garage, that it means that the house has problems. Because a lot of the time in the garages, you'll see big cracks, and they just did the concrete in the garage worse than they did in the house. Not always, but sometimes. So, because the concrete is exposed in the garage, that is a good idea of how the foundation is. Some neighborhoods are really, really solid. Some neighborhoods are really, really not. So you do want to pay a lot of attention to the flooring, especially in the backyard and the garage. And again, you want to take a look at the stucco, see if there's any big cracks, see if there's any tiles messed up. Another really expensive thing I see all the time is the chimneys get messed up. So sometimes the chimneys will start falling away from the house, or they'll have really big cracks going up them. Big chimney cracks, you can't really fix from my understanding. If it gets separated enough or cracked enough, you're going to need to buy a new chimney, and those are very not cheap, right? So definitely pay attention to those too. Now, if we're not talking just repairs, big things you want to think about when you're buying your home. What the heck are the countertops made out of? Some materials for countertops are really, really awesome. Some are really, really awful. Like, I know that people love marble countertops. It's one of their favorite things because you can put hot plates on it, all that kind of stuff, and it will not mess up the countertop. On the other hand, if you do not basically oil your countertops regularly, I believe it's every 3 to 6 months, and you spill something that has color, like say pasta sauce, you can stain the marble. It'll actually soak into the marble, and it's really hard to get out. On the other hand, countertops like this, I forget what this material is called, but it tends to melt if you put a hot pan on it. Is that a big deal for you or not? If knowing that you have this, you can never really put hot pans on the countertop, is that a big deal? You want to be paying attention to your counter space and your cabinet space. Again, counters and cabinets are real expensive. So is that enough space for your current home? Are there maybe parts of the home that you would want to change? I can almost guarantee that there is something here that is structural and load bearing, but probably not the entire wall. I know a lot of people will look at this and really prefer an open concept, which I am totally on board with. I think an open concept would be great. So I'm not saying this would be a guarantee, but oftentimes you can take out a good portion of this here and really open up the space and make it nicer. So just because you're buying something in a certain floor plan, that doesn't mean that you're stuck with it forever. Now, again, there might be load-bearing stuff in there that you can't touch, but little things like that can make a big difference in the quality of life and the quality of a home. Back in the 70s, when a lot of our homes were built, they really preferred to have a kitchen tucked away. A lot of them would have like cabinets even to really like make it like there's a little peeky window from the kitchen to the rest of the house. So, you do want to kind of be mindful of where you think you might be able to open stuff up. Talk to your contractor, talk to your realtor, see if you can open things up. But for me, my best guess would be that there's probably a support beam about here and about here. So if you wanted to, you could probably, not completely get rid of this wall, but get rid of a good chunk of it and make the whole room feel way bigger. You want to be mindful of, in these kind of units too, something that's really funny. It's not a big deal, but like getting up here and getting these things clean and dust free is a pain in the butt. So, keep in mind that if you do buy this place, you might have to get a big stick with a duster on it to get up there and get everything clean. But that aside, that's most of the stuff I'm looking for when I'm doing, when I'm going through all of this stuff. Be a little bit mindful too that, as you're going through, there's only so many square feet, right? So if you have two houses that are 2,000 square foot, one has really big bedrooms, one has really little bedrooms, that means you're gonna have less space for other things. So as you're doing showings, you want to kind of think about, do you want big bedrooms, little bedrooms? Do you want big kitchen, little kitchen? Like what kind of things are you prioritizing? Because if you're going to get your, 2,000 square feet, they're not all equal. They're not all going to be spaced the same way. Also keep in mind things like HOAs. We were at a place today, if you check out my actual TikTok, the unit was beautiful. The unit inside was beautiful, but outside the place was a mess. When you're buying into condos, you are co-owning the whole thing, right? The HOA is a co-ownership for the whole place. And if it's not managed well, you're buying into that drama, right? You're buying into that situation. So that's why, first off, when you look at any condo, townhouse, whatever, you want to get a good look at this and get a feeling for how well is the HOA doing their job. If they're not doing their job, if the place looks rough on the outside, you could be buying into a really big problem. And in the place we're just looking at in Camarillo today, they have a $178 a month assessment on all of the units. All the units have to spend an extra $178 just for repairs for things that came up that the HOA wasn't managing properly. And the place is still falling apart. So, if you buy into a community that needs a lot of work, you might be on the hook for helping clean it up, right? So that's one of the biggest downsides to being a HOA member is that, in these types of communities, you are a co-owner in the place. You are on the hook for making sure that it is cleaned up and looking good and functioning. So, if it looks bad outside, again, this one looks beautiful. I'm not picking on this one. But if it looks bad outside, that's a big deal, and you really want to be careful of that. That aside, you're looking at big things like your utilities. Make sure that you are that you have air conditioning. Air conditioning is huge. In Camarillo, sometimes Moorpark, sometimes Oxnard, but mostly Camarillo. You're going to see a lot of units that have no air conditioning. Okay, be keeping an eye out for air conditioning and that type of stuff. Also, when you're looking at condition, consider your type of loan. If you have a VA loan, they really need you to move into a livable house. It needs to be in good shape. this house is in good shape. If you have other types of loans, you might be able to get away with more issues, right? Take a look at all the ceilings. Look and see if, oh, we're not in the 3D anymore. Take a look at the ceilings. Make sure there's no leaks. Super, super common. If you miss leaks, a leaky roof can be anywhere from $10,000 on the low end. If it's really crazy, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. I think one of the crazier ones I've seen was like $100,000. It's for a really expensive house in Westlake with really expensive tiles, but it was $100,000 for the new roof. So you really want to take some time to look at that type of stuff. But again, don't stress too much. It's good things to catch. It's good things to keep an eye out for. But at your inspection, you're going to be going through all of these things with an actual inspector, looking for all of the issues. All you're trying to do at showings is you're really trying to make sure that you like the property, that you have a good sense of the condition that the property is in, and that you kind of have an idea of what you're in for. You're not going to totally know what you're in for until after the inspection. So again, don't stress too much. But it does suck to spend your money on inspection on a home that has really obvious issues that maybe you missed, right? So that's the big thing you're doing at this part, is trying to figure out like if it's even worth getting inspected, if it's even worth writing an offer on. So everyone, what do you guys think? Let's get this closed up here. Stop screen sharing. So what do you guys think? What do you look for when you are doing your showings? What do you look for when you're walking through properties? I'd love to hear in the comments. So far, again, it's been very quiet chat. One day we will have busy chats, but I have been very bad about my weekly emails. My assistant Talia has been not well, and she usually runs our emails and our video editing, and we have a ton going on in terms of work. We're working on a bunch of listings right now, and a couple different buyers. So I've been kind of behind on making my video content. But on the plus side, I tend to make more short form, more TikToks, stuff like that. So if you want to see what we're up to, absolutely follow me on TikTok and the YouTube Shorts. I try to share there too. But YouTube Shorts only let me post a minute long. So sometimes my stuff goes a little longer than that. So right now, when I'm really overwhelmed, you're going to catch me more on TikTok and more on these lives. You're going to catch me on anything else. So that's it for now. That's what I think you guys should look out for. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know what to do. Call Castro. And I will catch you guys next week. I don't know. Is this the last? What are we doing next weekend? I forget already. Let's take a look real quick. Next week, this month we're doing everything about buyers. We're talking about first-time buyers and buying homes in general. It looks like next week what we're going to be looking at is avoiding common pitfalls. So if you're getting into buying a home, it's going to be a must view, because these are all the things that I have experienced personally in my last, how long has it been now? 6 years. 6 years of buying and selling homes. All the things that I've noticed that have really caused problems. So, if you come in and hang out for the 30, 45 minutes with us, you're going to get 3 years of lessons. So I really must insist, if you're thinking about buying a home, that you should come. So past that, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming by, and I will catch you